I'm Tiffany. Welcome to Towering TBR. If you're new here, I am chronically ill and disabled. I read a wide variety of books, and every month I play a TBR game to help narrow down all my choices of what I'd like to read in the next month. I have been playing this bingo game for over a year now. If you'd like to catch last month's, I will link it up in the cards and in the description below, but go check that out because I'm going to spoil how my April went. I drew B12, which was set in space. I read Tiamat's Wrath by James S.A. Corey. Check. Next, I pulled G53, which was to read a 2023 favorites author. For this, I read The Choice by Gillian McAllister. Check. I pulled N37, read a frontless book. For that, I read Just for the Summer by Abby Jimenez. Check. And lastly, I pulled O68, read a book by an Indigenous author. I DNF'd that book and didn't pick anything else up to replace it, so that is a fail. I will be adding this to the roll cage after I pick this month's choices. Okay, so for May, before we even get to the rolls, I am rolling over my arc of The Last Murder at the End of the World by Stuart Turton. This comes out May 21st, and I tried to get to it in April, but just didn't. So that is going on to my May TBR. In addition, I am going to be participating in the Spoonie Readathon hosted by Emily and Kat. I'll link them below. This is a disability awareness readathon. Spoonies, as you can see from my top, Spoonies are people who have chronic illness, chronic pain, or fatigue, and they have to kind of ration their energy and their stamina. I am a Spoonie because I have multiple chronic illnesses that cause fatigue and pain. And yeah, just filming this video is using some spoons. So I'm very excited to participate. I participated last year and it was a ton of fun. There are 7 prompts, but I am not that ambitious. I am currently in a flare-up, which means my illness is worse than usual. And so I'm just hoping to get a couple. One that will definitely fit is Keedie by Elle McNicoll. I am buddy reading this with Chattie from Chattie the Mad Chatterer, and this is a prequel to A Kind of Spark. She and I read that last year and really loved it, and so now we get to see the perspective from another family member. This family member is autistic, so we've got some neurodivergent representation. And it's even own voices because the author herself is autistic as well. I am also getting a pre-order at the very end of this month. I read previously Disability Visibility, edited by Alice Wong. This is a collection of essays from many different disabled creators with many different disabilities represented. And she has a new collection that she edited coming out called Disability Intimacy. And so I am hoping to get that on the TBR. Lastly, already on my TBR, I am planning to read Moby Dick. This is my intimidating classic. It might even fit the Spoonies representation. I think there's limb difference, but whether or not it's good representation, I'm not really sure. But I'm going to, take on Moby Dick in May. Already have, 3 or 4 books on the TBR. Let's see what the rolls give us. Okay, roll 1. B5, an urban fantasy. Let's see what I've got. Okay, so I have 2 choices. The first is Her Majesty's Royal Coven by Juno Dawson. I've heard really great stuff about this, and that would be fun to get into. The other one I don't own, but I have on audio, is Jade City by Fonda Lee. Am I ready to start the Greenbone Saga? I'm not sure. I don't read very much urban fantasies. I think I'm going to choose this one. I know it's a trilogy, and I know the second book's already out, so hopefully if I like it, I won't have to wait too long for the third book. Roll 2. I-16, a mostly black cover. Well, this one would have worked, wouldn't it have? But I've already picked this one, so let me find another black cover. Okay, I have 2 really good options. The first is Sarah Waters' The Night Watch. I only have 2 Sarah Waters books left to read, this one and Affinity, but I think I want to end with Affinity because Jennifer over at Jennifer Loves Books, that one's her favorite, and so I want to really end on a high mark. So, not that this one won't be great. I've loved everything I've read from her, some more than others. But I think that this is a World War II story, and there's like some sort of backwards time element. Like we get to see them at the end of their story and then like learn how they got there. Not exactly sure. The other book I have is When Things Are Alive, They Hum by Hannah Bent. I saw Scott over at Gunpowder Fiction and Plot, and he was loving this. This is an Australian book. I think it's about a woman who has Down syndrome, and she wants to turn down a heart transplant. I'm not 100% sure. But he did say it would make me sob. So, I think I'm going to go with Sarah Waters. Still haven't gotten disability intimacy into the TBR, but if it doesn't work out, that's okay. I can always add it on top. Roll 3. B10, a short story collection. I have another 2 good choices. The first is Changing Planes by Ursula K. Le Guin. I recently discovered that I love Ursula K. Le Guin and have been trying to read all of her stuff. She has published so much. So I don't really know anything about this short story collection. I just knew it was Ursula K. Le Guin and thought, I'll try it. The other is Friday Black by Nana Kwame Adjei-Brenyah. This is a short story collection by the author of Chain Gang All-Stars, which I absolutely loved. I know that this is supposed to be pretty bleak, but his writing is incredibly arresting and really sucks you in. So I honestly want to read both, but I think I'm going to try Friday Black. And then if it's too grim or it puts me in a bad mood, then I'll switch to Changing Planes. Roll 4. I-30, reread a book from more than 10 years ago. Okay, so that was kind of hard, but I've narrowed my choices down to 2. The first is to reread 1984. There is a book out by Sandra Newman, which is a retelling from Julia's perspective. I want to read that, but because it's been so long since I have read 1984, I was thinking I should probably reread it before I do that. The other is off of my favorite shelf. I read this for the first time, I think in high school or college, like early adulthood, and it just really stuck with me. This is The Blood of Flowers by Anita Amirazvani, and this talks about a young girl who is growing up in Persia. It's in the 1500s, and unfortunately her father passes away, and she and her mother are sent to live with relatives who don't want them around at all. And so she tries to use her rug making skills to make money, and it's just this really intense coming of age story for this girl in the 1500s. And I really would like to reread both. But, I don't think I'm ready for the grimness that is 1984. So I will instead take the grimness of the 1500s. I'm going to put Blood of Flowers on my TBR. I forgot to mention, the Spoonies hoodie was designed by Allison Pages. She is a fellow booktuber who is not making content right now because her illness is not allowing her to, but she is a Spoonie as well, and I am really excited to take part in this readathon. Let me show you a couple of disability memoirs that I have to choose from, and maybe you can help me, give me your input on which ones you think are good or things you want to hear my voice on, or you want to hear my thoughts on. Okay, so I pulled a stack. The first is I Live a Life Like Yours by Grue. This is a chronic illness memoir. I have A Face for Picasso by Ariel Henley. She actually had an essay in Disability Visibility and made me really want to pick up her own memoir. So that's a possibility as well. I also have A Still Life by Josie George. This one I don't think has an audiobook though, so if you're new, I get migraines and that affects how I read. I primarily read with audiobooks, and so books that don't have audiobooks are sometimes hard for me to get to. I also have Invisible. This is not so much a memoir as it is kind of highlighting the social issues around chronic illness. I have It's Just Nerves, Notes on a Disability. This is very, very short. She has a nerve disorder. And lastly, I have The Collected Schizophrenias by Esme, Weijun, Wang. And this is essays that she wrote about being schizophrenic and how that affected her life. And it's looked really good, but it's also looked really grim. And so when I'm struggling with my mental health, sometimes reading about other people struggling with their mental health is not the best choice. So I will be picking from those and the collection of essays. If you have any recommendations of disability rep, definitely put them down in the comments below. Are you participating in the Spoonie Readathon? If so, put a spoon emoji in the comments below. Are you participating in any other readathons? If so, put a stack of books. What are you planning to read in May? Anything exciting or intimidating? Let's have a chat in the comments down below. Thanks. Bye.